the men should pray, lifting up holy hands without anger or argument. The word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. Jesus said to his disciples, "A rich man had a steward who was reported to him for squandering his property. He summoned him and said, 'What is this I hear about you? Prepare a full account of your stewardship, because you can no longer be my steward.' The steward said to himself, 'What shall I do now that my master is taking the position of steward away from me? I am not strong enough to dig, and I am ashamed to beg. I know what I shall do, so that when I am removed from the stewardship, they may welcome me into their homes.' So he called in his master's debtors, one by one. To the first he said, 'How much do you owe my master?' He replied, 100 measures of olive oil. He said to him, 'Here is your promissory note. Sit down and quickly write one for 50. Then to another steward he said, 'And you, how much do you owe?' He replied, 100 cores of wheat. The steward said to him, 'Here's your promissory note. Write one for 80. And the master commended that dishonest steward for acting prudently. For the children of this world are more prudent in dealing with their own generation than the children of light. I tell you, make friends for yourselves with dishonest wealth, so that when it fails, you will be welcomed into eternal dwellings. The person who is trustworthy in very small matters is also trustworthy in great ones. And the person who is dishonest in very small matters is also dishonest in great ones. If, therefore, you are not trustworthy with dishonest wealth, who will trust you with true wealth? If you are not trustworthy with what belongs to another, who will give you what is yours? No servant can serve two masters. He will either hate one and love the other, or be devoted to one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and mammon." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Good morning. So before I get started today is Catechetical Sunday. Did you know that? Catechetical Sunday. So as a community, I ask that we celebrate, we applaud, and we give thanks to all the teachers, all the volunteers, and all of you who minister in teaching our faith. Because without you, how will the next generation come to know the Lord? So we thank you, and may God continue to bless you in your endeavors. So, who likes to shop? Who likes to shop? Everybody likes to shop. Clothes, shoes, tools, cars, food. Shopping is a part of our everyday life. And we want to pay the right price, don't we? We don't want to pay too much. We like bargains. That's what we do. And we don't like to be cheated either, do we? So how many times have you asked someone to do something for you, and they give you an estimate, and then when you get the bill, there's all kinds of stuff added on, fees, expenses, and the recent one I really like, supply chain expenses. Supply chain. I just got one of those, by the way, from a church. So, no one likes to be taken advantage of, do we? Which brings us to today, our readings, because that is precisely what we hear. We hear about people taking advantage of others. It's the wealthy and the powerful taking advantage of the needy. And you may find this gospel confusing. I do. Like, people for 2,000 years have been confused by this gospel because Jesus appears to commend a thief, right? A crook. A man who was only looking out for his own welfare, who was squandering his master's money and taking advantage of other people. From our eyes, he is not commendable, is he? But my brothers and sisters, we need to pay closer attention today because Jesus is asking us to put ourselves in the dishonest steward's shoes. He is a reflection of us. Jesus is not excusing his behavior, but he's asking everybody here to look at your lives and see where you have been dishonest with the gifts that he has given you. And he reminds us today that in our pursuit of wealth, in our pursuit of our careers, we forget that we're stewards. We think we're the master. We think we're in control. So today I ask you, think about it. How are you using the gifts of the Lord, our master? Are you focused on the present, the here, the now, the what you want, the when can I get it, the popular? Is that what we're focused on? Are we looking just to increase our wealth at the expense of other people? Or do you really realize where true wealth lies? Where does true wealth lie? True wealth is not measured in dollars. It's measured in what we do to serve the Lord. It's measured in terms of our closeness to God. So you might be confused, like, okay, I think I'm a pretty good steward, but let's hear some more. So I'm going to ask you, I want you to think about this. There's a very important line in the gospel today. There's a lot of important lines, but there's one that you had to do some back reading to figure out. When the steward got caught, he said to himself, I know what I shall do. I know what I shall do. But in the Greek of the Bible, do you know what he actually said? I have always known what I should do. That's what the steward said. I have always known what I should do. He knew better. So deep down, my friends, do you feel this? It's not easy. It's not a pleasant feeling. Do you feel like your life is a little bit out of balance, that every day is a bit of a struggle? Then you're in good company. We all do. And I'm gonna give you two fundamental things to think about when you look at how well you're being a steward. There's two things we can do: prioritize and simplify. Prioritize and simplify. So let's start with prioritize. Prioritize your life. What is truly most important? Some of the women here have participated, and some will participate in the Walking with Purpose Women's Study, and it's called Ordering Your Priorities. Ordering Your Priorities. It lays out 6 priorities from top to bottom to help you balance your life. It is essential, and it's a great study, women, if you haven't taken it. I read the book. I liked it. And I'm not a woman. So, the first and the most important priority is what? Him, God, your relationship with God. He has to be number one. He has to be in control of your life. And you have to talk to him. You got to communicate with him. Otherwise, you won't be listening. The second priority is your heart. It's you. What is within you? What are your true desires? What are your fears? What are your worries? What is it that is in there that you know you should do, but you may not be doing it? Third, if you're married, your spouse is your third priority, because next to God, your spouse should be the most important person in your life. Next comes children, and then your home. Home is where you, your spouse, your children find peace, find safety, find comfort. The last priority, number 6, everything else. The world, everything. That's your last priority. That includes your career, your possessions, your money, everything. My friends, when we live with the right priorities in the right order, you will be a good steward of the gifts that God gave you. Second part, though, is really important too. So you ordered your priorities, simplify. Simplify your life. This means uncluttering everything. It means we fill our lives with so much stuff, don't we? We buy things because we can, because we have money. We can buy them. My wife always tells me stuff equals time. Stuff equals time. Because the more money you make, the more stuff you accumulate, the more time you spend on it. And we know it's true. Careers, possessions, addictions, hobbies, they become obsessions. They turn into the masters that we serve. No longer are we a steward, but we think we're the master again. So I ask you, my friends, step back, think about it. What are those possessions that are possessing you? What are the things in this world, money, whatever it may be, that is got your constant attention? It reminds me of a story. There was a man who demanded that his wife bury him with all his money. Okay, forget it. It's not legal, but just it's a story. All right, so all you lawyers out there say, hey, she can't do that. Okay, or he can't. So he told his wife and he told his priest, you will bury me with all my money when I die. She reluctantly agreed. So one day he died, and they're at the cemetery, and his wife puts a small white envelope into the grave before it's covered up. And the priest comes over and he says, you know, you promised to bury him with all his money. And she smiled and said, I did. I wrote him a check. My friends, you can't take it with you. You got to be grateful for what you have, and don't be desireful of what you don't have. You have to be generous with people. Wealth is a responsibility to help other people. It's only when you simplify that you, again, can be a good steward. So, this is a true story. This isn't a joke. As you reflect on your priorities and on your life, here you go. In 1923, 9 of the world's most powerful, successful, and wealthy businessmen met in Chicago. The meeting was a celebration of their wealth and a plan to do even more, to make more money. It included the president of the largest steel company, the president of the largest electrical company, the president of the largest gas company, the biggest commodity investor, the president of the New York Stock Exchange, the Secretary of Interior for President Harding, the biggest investor on Wall Street, and the head of the world's greatest monopoly. Pretty impressive, right? Fast forward 25 years to 1948. What happened in 25 years to these 9 powerful, wealthy men? All 9 men, yes, all of them, were broke, penniless, and bankrupt. All 9. 4 were either in prison or had served time in prison. And sadly, 3 of them took their own lives. My friends, my sisters and brothers, do you need to reform your life as a steward? Are you trying to serve 2 masters at the same time? If so, today, order your priorities, simplify your life. For Jesus commended the dishonest steward for how he made amends and what he did after he got caught. My friends, just like the dishonest steward, we always know what we should do, don't we? It's never too late, just like the steward, to take another course, to stop, to examine, and say, I need to order my priorities. I need to simplify my life. For the life that God has prepared for you is here. It's now. It's just waiting on you to live it.